Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you on this 24th of January, 2025. It's Dave Neal here with your morning rush. Here are all the stories we have today. Bachelorette Hannah Brown making news in Bachelor Nation, says she's no longer living with her fiance. No, they're still together. I'll share what she had to say about that while she's doing a 2-week-long water fast. I'm hungry just thinking about that. Now, TikTok phones are fetching a lot of money out there. We'll discuss why. The reason being you can't download the app on new phones, so used phones are fetching a bargain. I'll sell my phone for 10 grand if anyone wants it. I got TikTok on here. The algorithm doesn't like me. All right, the algorithm's not liking Blake Lively either, and more fan theories coming out from Bethany Frankel to hit podcasts to Candace Owens, all discussing what the heck might have gone down, and a lot of good theories too. So I'll get into that. Plus a new UFO documentary set to come out in a few months. They found the aliens finally. Do the aliens have TikTok? Do the aliens know if Blake Lively is the one in trouble or is it Justin Baldoni? Can they please let us know? And then also we're going to wrap this episode up talking with our future president and vice president, Jon Stewart and AOC. In which order, I don't know, but get me more of them. I'll share some clips of what they have to say following the recent election. All right, we got a lot to get into. It's Friday. Roll up your sleeves. Let's do it. This is The Rush. Well, it's been a while since we've had Bachelorette Hannah Brown in the news. She posted this at her church. She said, I've mentioned it a little, but with our church family, Adam, her fiance, and I have been participating in 14 days of prayer and fasting, waking up to worship together at 6 a.m. each morning and praying for hundreds of, hey, look, do whatever the hell you want, but fasting for 14 days, I don't know. I need coffee. I need a biscuit. So this just isn't for me. But hey, we're happy for them. And other things that aren't for me, but happy for them, Hannah and Adam deciding to live separately before their wedding. Let's listen to what she had to say.
We decided to just trust God, and we are not living in this house together until we get married this summer. It was obviously a big decision and very different and new, but we both separately were having these thoughts in our prayer and just feeling the Lord to call us to do this. And we were both like, I don't know. When we finally talked about it, I feel like we've just had this like relief in knowing that we're being obedient to what we both are hearing God's wanting for our relationship. And
look, I don't like to judge people on their religious beliefs. I really don't. The word obedient, though. Obedient. He didn't want you to live together. So what? Did Adam have to get an apartment somewhere? Is he crashing on a buddy's couch? The hell's going on? You guys are getting married. Again, I'm not trying to judge. I'm just confused. Because on one end, Hannah Brown, she's on her season of The Bachelorette saying, while people were slut-shaming her, right? We had that one guy, what was his name? Luke? I don't remember his name. Jed? No, whatever the guy's name was. He was mad at her because she was hooking up with guys in windmills. And she said, hey, God still loves me. So, does God care? Why did God change his mind? He's like, all right, go bang in a windmill, but don't live with your partner that you're about to get married to. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know. The term obedient sounds weird to me. That sounds like a child should be obedient, I guess, to their parents. But what if God, can I use that on my wife? Honey, no, I want to go with you to the mall. I'd love to go to Home Goods, but God wants me to watch the game. I'm being obedient to God. Just a thought.
Yes, it's inconvenient. And some people might think it's like, why? But we just have to trust what we feel like God is calling us to do. So,
honey, I trust that you're going to enjoy going to Home Goods. I have to watch the game. So let me be obedient in my trust. And you know what? It's okay. That's fine. Just let me follow my faith, please.
We had to be obedient. And
more obedience.
Honestly, it's been really great. I have felt the most connected to Adam that I ever had, I think, because we are so intentional about the time that we have together. Excited for what God has.
Excited for what God has. I mean, look, that's actually the funniest in me. That's the most honest thing I've ever heard a couple say. We actually love each other so much more now that we're not living together. I get it. Every once in a while, you need to go walk the dog or go to the other side of the house or put your headphones in and remember the glory days because you get at each other's throat. Your partner's your roommate. I understand. But hey, good on them. I guess maybe they're going to have an apartment.com sponsorship after this. We'll have to see. So, all right, where do we go from there? What a story. Oh, let's go to TikTok. TikTok, I guess, is being listed on eBay now for 10 grand if you have a phone with TikTok already downloaded onto it. Have a listen.
Well, iPhones with TikTok still installed are being listed on eBay for upwards of $10,000. Although TikTok service came back in the U.S., the app is currently restricted from further downloads in the App Store. An iPhone 14 Pro Max with the app installed sold for $2,500 on eBay, with others also being sold near those prices. TikTok is estimated to have some 170 million users in the U.S., with a third of U.S. adults using the app.
And we're going to pretend like we're not addicted to social media. You know what I mean? We're on eBay. We're trying to get our fix. Can I please? You got a phone with TikTok? I need some of that good social media dopamine. All right, should we get into the Blake Lively stuff? I mean, we have a lot to cover in the Blake Lively world. Bethany Frankel, of course, no stranger to wedging herself into any drama here, has a theory about Blake and Justin. I'm going to share several different clips, and I'm also going to share a little bit of what Candace Owens is saying. I know some of you guys are a little repulsed at the idea of me sharing Candace Owens. Just be obedient to me here. I am the host of the podcast. I will curate the best content for you. If your obedience allows, I will just shepherd you to, work today via this great audio and video podcast. Here is Bethany Frankel.
Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case is the fuck around and find out case. It's the I've started swimming from Cuba to Florida. I'm halfway there and now I am drowning and I don't know whether to keep swimming.
Yeah, this whole case is bet. That's what it is, right? That's what the kids say, bet, when you think you're calling someone's bluff, and they sure did.
Or go back to shore. Why? Because Blake Lively's team put out a New York Times article stating their complaints. They had other people coming forward. Everyone was rallying around her on the film. Great. Then the seesaw that I talked about before, the other side, the Brian Friedman side, comes back with their receipts. And it keeps going back and forth. And you are so deep, you're so embedded and entangled that you can't unbraid it. And now Blake's team is trying to put a stop to the public mudslinging, which, by the way, is what it is. It's very much the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case where it went back and forth, and then they're in court and everybody's feelings are an emotional roller coaster because they're trying to find the truth out for themselves, which none of us actually know.
Look, I kind of agree with her in the sense that it is similar in some ways to Johnny and Amber, only in that it is the biggest entertainment story of the year. That's how it's similar. How it's different, well, there's one more way it's similar, and that is there were some mistruths said on Blake Lively's complaint. Leaving out emojis that would have really changed the different tone of text messages, and leaving out some parts of the text message or what was said before he said something, and it reminds me in one degree or another to Amber Heard when she said she donated all of her money from their divorce to the ACLU, which we later found out she never donated the money. She only pledged to donate. And why are these things important? Well, it kind of takes away the credibility of the case. If you have a good case, you shouldn't have to veer away from the facts, right? So I don't know. Anyway, we have a nice clip here from Keena Flynn. She said, I would give years of my life to be able to listen to the phone calls right now. I hear you on that one. Let's listen.
Do you mean you want a gag order? It's not possible. How did we get here?
And by the way, these are just random, normal people. These aren't people in a cult. It's a nice lady here. She goes, Blake Lively wanted a gag order? She didn't want Justin to share the evidence when she coordinated with the New York Times? Now, how do we know she coordinated with the New York Times? Well, as soon as she released her complaint, the New York Times had a very robust article ready to go. So clearly they had worked hand in hand to do a smear campaign right through the New York Times. And was it a smear or not? Well, it depends if the facts line up.
Into the New York Times. She started this. And he lost his agency. He lost an award that he got. What do you mean he can't defend himself? Where is her PR team? Where is her PR team to be like, no, you can't do that? I understand legal and PR don't always mesh. But what do you mean? Where is her PR team to be like, no?
Listen, they don't care. They're making their money, Now, look, I equate this whole case basically to like the Cuban Missile Crisis, in that although in the Cuban Missile Crisis they didn't end up hitting the red button and pulling and dropping bombs, whereas this case, the New York Times article was the first like public bomb dropped, and of course his response bomb was, hey, we've got receipts, this isn't what went down, and of course suing for the hundreds of millions of dollars. So anyway, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more of this story next. And you might be like, Dave, this is so annoying to continue to talk about this story, but there's different angles to it. And here we have a TikToker named SayItLolita_, who has a different theory that Justin Baldoni's wife was the one who was on to Blake Lively's shenanigans.
My theory on why I think that Justin Baldoni kept all of the receipts just in case something bad happened, even though it seems like he didn't really see that this was coming, it looks like he was blindsided more than anyone else. My theory that I haven't seen anyone else have is that it was his wife. I think it was his wife. He seems like somebody who tells his wife everything. Seems like he probably has a very healthy relationship with his wife. And I imagine even if he didn't clock the mean girl, she did. She clocked that bitch from a mile away. Whoa. And I imagine when he told her everything that was going on, her spidey senses were going off, and she was like,
Look, I agree with this TikToker here. She clocked that bitch from a mile away. Now, her words, not mine. What's interesting is, and again, it just might be my algorithm, you're not really finding anybody defending Blake. You're just finding people sharing theories as to why they think Justin had a lot of receipts and was able to fire back. The big topic that people are interested in covering now is don't mistake, kindness for, I guess, weakness. And from the text messages, you see Justin Baldoni willing to work with Blake and let her collaborate, even though it wasn't, part of his original vision. They didn't really have a choice. And maybe they thought that they could bury him with their star power. Again, these are just speculations. Now, Candace Owens dropped a lot of tea. Here's how we're going to have to work this thing out. I can't share all of what Candace Owens said right now because it's too long for this podcast, but I guarantee you, by the time you watch this on YouTube, I got that video right around the corner. So make sure you're subscribed. On the Candace Owens full story will be on YouTube only for my audio listeners. Make sure you're subscribed. I'll have that out by 10 a.m. Central Time today. So trust me, it is Candace Owens dropping a lot of information. Here's a quick summary from our good pal Shannon Hill News.
If you're a conservative or a Democrat or wherever you fall on the political spectrum, we are all pretty much thinking the same thing about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. And today, Candace Owens posted to her story that an insider leaked her some information about the whole Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni situation.
By the way, I just want to talk about what she said, how hey, whether you're Democrat, Republican, lefty, righty, libertarian, whatever the case may be, a lot of people are having the same opinions, which I think it's healthy in this way. It's healthy that we don't lump everyone into, if you vote this way, you have to believe this, or vote that way, you have to believe that. Everyone can come at this just like they did with the Bachelor Clayton story, from whatever political leaning you come from, and let's drop that and just use our common sense as we sift through the case. And by the way, I reserve the right to change my opinion. I do. If I find out more information that makes him look a certain way and she, sure, absolutely. I need to make sure I don't have the blinders, for sure. But right now, people like Candace Owens, she can, broken clock can be right twice a day. You might love her or hate her, but she's got a lot of opinions here that sort of are backed up by some of the information coming out.
She posted a series of stories explaining what she believed happened based on what the source said, and basically it was a Ryan Reynolds takeover. Blake apparently wasn't the triggering source, that Ryan came on set one day, watched several hours of footage, and felt very uncomfortable about what was going on between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. Blake and Ryan got into an argument in her trailer, and people overheard this, and right after that argument, it was a Ryan Reynolds takeover.
All right, so I'll have more on that. Trust me, it's a lot to get into. It's a theory. It might be completely wrong, but, he's had some rumors from past relationships that this is sort of status quo. So again, we'll get into that more so next video, so make sure you're subscribed for that. All right, let's ditch the Lively shenanigans and go back to TikTok. Here's Senator Ted Cruz Republican out of Texas. Boy, he's never looked worse. I'll tell you that right now. He's never looked worse. But here he is. No, he's not fleeing to go to Cancun while his state is in dire stresses. No, here he is discussing the TikTok ban.
If we are sitting here 91 days from now and TikTok is still live and China is still owning and controlling it, that will be a very dangerous situation because the Chinese Communist government uses TikTok, number one, for espionage, and number two, to push propaganda and to push very harmful content to our children, harmful content that pushes self-harm, that pushes suicidal ideation, that pushes substance abuse, that pushes anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism and anti-capitalism. It is a potent propaganda tool.
Well, look, okay, so social media is a propaganda tool. I'll give him that. Whether it's because of the Chinese Communist Party or not, I don't know. I do think there should be limits to, underage kids, how long they can go on social media. It's a dangerous thing. We're worried about the criminals that are outside, but the real fears that I think exist are the ones that are in people's phones and in children's phones. The fact that they have phones and they have the access to these apps is really harmful to their brains, if you ask me. But again, I don't know what evidence he has that this is the Chinese Communist Party doing this, but either way, we'll give more updates on TikTok as they come. All right, let's move it to, here we go, Brianna Chickenfry. She says she might be over guys. Oh, you ever go through one of those breakups so bad you change the sex you'd like to date? Hey, it happens. Here she is saying she could go full lesbian, excuse me.
BFF's Corner, Bree goes on the Tart trip. Bree went to Tart Island with her +1, Bard, who she says is her fake boyfriend. People are quick to comment, referring to the episode when she promises Josh no boyfriend until June 21st. Yeah, what's up with that?
Still, I'm a single girly. June 21st, I'm not having a boyfriend. I'll probably actually ever. I've realized I never want to have a boyfriend again.
Like, gonna go down the girlfriend lane or just keep it?
Yeah, everyone's
nothing?
saying I'm a lesbian, which is fine. So maybe.
Well, you've dabbled.
I've dabbled for sure. And I'm thinking maybe girls is my play. I think that they're better. So maybe I am. Maybe I really am just fully a lesbian. And that's why none of my relationships with men have ever worked out.
Listen, maybe that's the case, but also maybe you're dating the wrong guys. I'm not trying to white nut you and say there's great podcasters out there, because I wouldn't date one of those either. But you went after, you were dating a country musician. I mean, I'm not saying she's asking for it. No one wants to be cheated on, but hello. Maybe don't cheat, don't date country musicians, comedians, or pilots. Those are the things. You don't want to date them. Go find yourself a guy who does some boring job somewhere and be obedient to him. I'm kidding about the obedient part. That was a callback. All right. So anyway, let's move on. So maybe she stays with the ladies. Either way, the men in Mississippi have a crisis on their hands. No pun intended. Mississippi lawmaker says, get ready for blue balls, boys. Wants to ban masturbation. Being an outlaw in Mississippi could be as simple as busting a nut. This is their article, not mine. It's Friday, or at least that's what a state senator is proposing, with a new law that effectively bans masturbation for men. Mississippi Senator Bradford Blackman even slapped a catchy name on his legislation, the Contraception Begins at Erection Act, which aims to block men from spreading or wasting seed unless they intend to make a baby. So no playing 5-on-1 with yourself or any other form of pleasure that ends with you wasting those precious sailors. The bill does have some exceptions, however, especially in regard to activities related to baby-making endeavors, including sperm donation. All right, I don't know if that'll be real popular with the constituency, but hey, maybe is this part of the 14-day fast that they have here? No speed ceiling for the fast? Listen, I've heard of No Nut November, but this is a whole different ballgame he's playing in. Do what you want with your bodies. That's what I say. Do what you want with your body. Of course, this will be shot down. I just think it's insane. It's insane. Why does this exist? Why is this a story I have to read out loud? We got a lot here. I'm moving all around. Let's keep the party going. Should we go to AOC? Why not? Let's do it, right? I'm talking like I have an assistant. I don't. It's just me. Let's go to AOC. This is AOC and Jon Stewart teaming up, sort of having, discussions about how the Democratic Party can, face the facts as to why they lost the way they did this go around.
That we need to do is to talk to people directly. Also, guess what? There need to be Democrats who walk the walk and talk the talk. There is an insane amount of hypocrisy. And the hypocrisy is what gets exploited to use the cynicism. And wherever there's a hypocritical window, for example, I think one of the most biggest examples of this
Nancy Pelosi
is insider trading in Congress.
I called it. I mean, yeah, I've been saying this all along. I don't care if you're Nancy Pelosi or Marjorie Taylor Greene. Do you know Nancy Pelosi had like a 50% return on her stock trading this year? No, look, I know the S&P 500 had a good year. You could have done nothing and raised, and still had 20-25% gains. But it's absolutely insane that anybody who's an elected official of that level, including the president, can make any money outside of like a basic fund. You know what I mean? Bet on the country. Don't bet on individual stocks.
Dude, I don't know if do I give snaps? I don't know what the kids do anymore, but dude.
It is
that's so crazy.
It's so crazy. It's crazy. I mean, and this is the thing. It's like people think that everyday people are stupid. I'm like, do you all really think that people don't see this shit?
They sit on a committee, they get information about a drug or a contract or a thing. They immediately make a call. The stockbroker changes things and their portfolio swells.
Explodes. It explodes.
What are we doing?
It explodes like sperm in Mississippi. Obedient sperm.
And you're doing this on public trust,
right?
On taxpayer finance, public, facilities. Of course,
you're regulating the market that you're trading on.
Exactly, and
you run the casino.
And then we're supposed to act like money doesn't only corrupts Republicans. Give me a fucking break.
We're lucky we're not in the same room because I think we might have high-fived. I really.
Now listen, aren't they? By the way. Let's be honest. I don't care what side you're on. They're unstoppable. That's unstoppable, folks. I don't know who's the president and who's the vice president. And quite frankly, I don't care. Make AOC president, put Jon Stewart VP. You know why he'd be great at it? Because he doesn't want it. Just like I don't want to run for town council. Why? Because it's easier to do what I do here. And inherently, we're lazy people. He doesn't want it. We need him. AOC's already in the pipeline. Now, whether she runs in 2028, people thought she was going to wait maybe another couple election cycles because she is still very young. But look, these are the voices where you need to speak truth to power. So here they are complaining about the stock trading and insider trading that exists. Now, what happened with the Trump coin? Of course, anybody who knew the Trump coin was coming out immediately put money into it. There was actually a story of a guy. I could share the video with you, but it's super sad. He took his grandfather's money and he bet $1.4 million on the Trump coin, but he got in too late. He got in like half a day too late. So therefore, the thing took a dive and he lost like $500,000 like that. And all the people that made money were the people that knew beforehand that the coin was going to go through. So I mean, how crazy? I mean, imagine if you have information in the Senate that you're about to invest a lot of money in some company that makes, I don't know, submarines, like whatever, some random ass company. So you know about it, and it's like this new company that's trading at $20. So, you say, all right, you call your guy, hey, just put $20,000 in this. Now it's trading at $100. Now your $20 just $20,000 just turned into $100,000. You know what I mean? And this is happening right in front of us. And you need people that aren't taking the money, aren't part of the grift to call it out. That's what you need. It's common sense. And anyhow, I mean, love it or hate it, you're going to see more of these two. All right. I promised I'd get to a UFO story, and it's a little clickbaity. Let me tell you something. The best UFO stories are on the websites with the most pop-up ads. Holy hell, what are we doing here? So this is the story. Secret UFO documentary footage to drop biggest discovery in human history. The age of the disclosure includes on-the-record interviews with 34 current and former high-ranking members of the U.S. government. Listen, let me tell you right now, if you're making a UFO documentary, we don't care about the interviews. Show us the aliens. If your documentary doesn't have little green men running around in some sort of tin saucer, we don't want it. So anyway, they're trying to sell it right now. The documentary is premiering at South by Southwest in March. Let me tell you this. If footage of this documentary gets chatter from everyone going, oh my gosh, it's insane, we'll talk more about it. They say they have the craziest video. That's what they say. They say they have the craziest footage, the biggest discovery in human history. I'll believe it when I see it, all right? I'm not going to be obedient to any, alien life forms out there, not without video footage. Okay, that's going to do it for me. We're wrapped on the morning, at least for the podcast, that is. I've got dedicated content coming your way. Up next, we'll have Candace Owens. God bless the mess that we've got here with the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni situation. What a week to be alive, I'll tell you that. So stick around for that, and then we'll be back this afternoon. I'm Dave Neal. This is The Rush.